welcome back to another day with less anxiety. It's me, Orest, your anxiety coach, and it's such a pleasure to notice all the amazing response that I've been getting for these videos. I really appreciate the comments, the questions that I'm getting, and please, even if you know me, don't send me a private email or a private message with your questions. Type them down in the comments. Feel free to ask about anything that's been bugging you, any thought that just comes up as you're listening to these videos. I really appreciate those. And in fact, I love this question that comes from Goyo, who asked me if anxiety is not just basically the underlying cause of addictions as well. Now, I would say yes, in a big part. In a big part, anxiety has a lot to do with addictions. In what sense? In the sense that the way I define anxiety, it's a misunderstood emotional response. It is something that your mind or body needs to do, needs to move away from, needs to achieve, needs to resolve, but you no longer have access to the information contained in the emotional response. So it feels like just emotional noise, discomfort, being antsy, feeling tense, or however anxiety represents itself for you. It basically all is, it's a feeling that is misunderstood. Now, of course, many addictions are like that. By the same way in which how I define addictions, they are usually a symbolic way of expressing something that your person needs. So what do I mean by this? Is that addictions in one way or another are an expression of something that you want to have happen. It can, and most of the time addictions are going to be, you will be able to understand what an addiction means for someone that you love or even for yourself by noticing what are the situations in which you get to kind of enjoy what happens and what are the situations where the same thing doesn't really seem to be doing its thing, right? For example, a smoker might enjoy a cigarette if it represents relaxation, if it's actually a relaxing cigarette. The same smoker will not enjoy the same cigarette if it's in front of someone that loves them and wants them to stop smoking because they understand what it means for them and they are just looking at them as they're smoking their cigarette, all judging, and every whiff of a cigarette, it actually feels like I am so stupid, this is so stressful. They will not enjoy the very same cigarette. So addictions, and we will explore addictions individually, I'm sure, because I do plan to do a lot of these videos. So please ask me about which kind of an addiction you're most interested in. I would love to talk about the ones that are actually meaningful for my listeners. So in general, to answer Goyo's question, yes, addictions in some way respond to an also misunderstood feeling. And in reality, sometimes it is, you can find the connection in that situation, in understanding how the addiction is actually working for the person and when it does not work for the person. You can realize what the addiction is trying to achieve. Some people will be very happy to just drink on their own. Others will never do that. Even if they are, even if they're heavily invested in alcohol, they will just not. They will say that they will not cross the line of just drinking on their own when they're alone at home. Others will prefer that actually. So a very important thing to understand about addictions, at least what I feel that is important, is that many addictions represent something very important for the person. So what I believe Goyo's question means when he was asking me this is that if addictions only are focused on distracting from anxiety, if a person feels anxious, if that anxiety, if the addiction, all it does is just distract from it. And that is definitely one of the parts. But there are other elements involved. Usually it's very, very important to understand that most addictions actually contain some element of what the person actually needs in their life. Sometimes the drinking is actually socializing. Sometimes the overeating is actually comfort, or creating a moment of just leave me alone. I want to do something nice for myself. And then, the person will prepare nice food items, or go to someplace nice. They treat themselves. And sometimes these can be very real and important and actually good things that are being expressed in a not so ideal way. Feeling confident. For example, some people drink because they feel uninhibited. And letting go and letting loose and experiencing the world in a more relaxed way is good. Having positive connections with others is good. It's nice. It's something good. It's something that everybody should have in their lives. Now, if alcohol is the only way in which they can express this, that is not so good. Sometimes people, I don't know if you've heard the saying or the advice that says, experience your pain fully. What I believe this advice is trying to tell you is, don't distract yourself from your pain. Go through it, pay attention, lean into it, and understand what it's trying to tell you. If you feel lonely, well, then that is probably a sign that you do not have enough positive, reliable connections in life. And that is something important. So you should, if you feel lonely, take action to no longer be lonely in the same way. Maybe it's going to take a little while, but that's what it means to fully pay attention to your pain. Now, the problem with solving that pain of loneliness, for example, with alcohol, that while you are drinking, or while whoever is addicted is drinking, they go out and they have connections, they have positive connections with people. It's not necessarily, of course, it's not necessarily the best kind of connections. Those can be just the kind of connections where they all complain about how their wife might be nagging about them, or how they might just, have problems at home. Sometimes specifically because of the drinking, but it can just become a vicious cycle in the end. But as long as drinking, first of all, presents a relief from loneliness, and by loneliness I don't mean that they don't have people that care for them. By loneliness I mean that they are not positively connected to those people. So if it's parents that are nagging, it's a partner that is dissatisfied with parts of their lives, they might very well feel like, yeah, there are people, but I don't feel connected. So when they go down to the pub and they have a pseudo connection with others, then they are getting breadcrumbs of what they really need. And there are two main problems with this. First, they stop experiencing the pain. And they, instead of working on improving their connections at home, where they have really dedicated people to them that have chosen to spend their life with them, instead they get the relief from the pain. And then they, instead of working on themselves, they are going to work on accommodating the addiction in their lives to make sure that they find partners that accept it, they find friends that will engage in the addiction with them. So instead of experiencing the pain of something that they need, they end up, in fact, working towards having more of the addiction. So this is a big problem, that when addictions actually represent something important, can make addictions worse than what Goyo's question was. if it's only a distraction from anxiety. And there is a third element that, because I have been in contact with doctors, of course, whenever it's a doctor that's recommending a client to me, I will give them follow-up. I will be very, very respectful of their work. There is also the physiological connection. And I know I have doctor friends who have gone and taken courses. Aside from all the insane amount of knowledge they already have, they have taken long courses where they understand how addictions work and how the brain begins to be altered, how the body begins to be altered. And it definitely goes way beyond just the psychological element. And that's, of course, only where I focus. And I will refer my clients to whoever, whatever kind of additional help they might need. But these three elements are all parts of addictions. And this is a huge, huge theme, and I'd love to talk more about it. But I just hope that you are taking something away that will help you have a little bit better of a day today. Maybe it's just someone that you care about, that you might understand a little bit deeper on how they create their anxiety. I hope you are not struggling with any addictions, but just a deeper understanding of yourself and more calmness and more kindness towards yourself is always, always helpful. And of course, if you think that this video could be useful for someone, please do let them know that I'm creating these videos and I will try and answer all of the questions. Please comment, please ask your questions. I would love to help you out by answering them. And make sure that you're subscribed so you keep getting these videos. Now, you did stay till the end, so make sure you do a little bit of this and do tell yourself you're doing good, because you are. You are doing good. Have a kind day and see you tomorrow.